Okay. Last meeting, we actually discussed the single period newsboy problem. And again, the reason why it's single period is because decision on how much inventory to actually stock up is made over a single period only. No? So it's a one-time decision. And the decision is made at the beginning of each period, okay, of that single period. So today we will be discussing about continuous review models, and the difference between single period and continuous review is the fact that for continuous review, we are actually uh, making decisions on inventory over an extended period of time, no? Or over a specific planning horizon. So in a specific planning horizon, we will have several decision periods, meaning several periods where we need to make decisions on inventory, how much to order, at what point to order, etc. So these decision periods are called inventory cycles. So each period is one cycle. So in one planning horizon for a continuous review inventory problem, you will have several cycles. So that's the difference, no? Main difference between single period model and a continuous review. Okay. So continuous review models. So again, as I said earlier, the difference here is that the inventory decision as to how much to order and when to order it is made, or these decisions are made over an extended period of time. So meron kang tinatawag na planning horizon that involves more than one decision period. Okay? So there are two cases under continuous review models. So ang ibig sabihin ng lot size is yan yung Q. Yan yung Q star. How much to produce or how much to order. Tapos, ang reorder point naman, yan yung R. Yan yung level of inventory at which it signals you to start ordering or start producing. Okay, so I think you'd have to go back to your Pro MGT1 to recall a lot of these concepts. Kasi I'm sure naturo na yung lot size, reorder point model sa inyo. Under this, you have two cases. Sabi sa akin ng kabilang class, naturo na rin daw yung back order at yung stock out. Okay, sa Pro MGT1. But this time, ang difference lang nga natin dito sa Pro MGT1 is that we're considering the stochastic case. Kaya stochastic inventory model tong topic natin eh. So we're considering the stochastic case. Hindi tayo deterministic. Okay? So, back order and stock out. Ang difference ulit ng back order and stock out, Cass, what's the difference? Yes.
Ang back order po ata eh. Ngayon, like for example, ngayon in order pero next time pa i-fulfill.
Okay, next time pa i-fulfill. So, tama yan. In order ng customer ngayon, nag-order siya ng isang tray ng tinapay, kaso naubusan ka. Okay, naubusan ka na. Stock out ka na basically. Pero the customer is willing to wait for a certain period of time so that you can deliver it. So, next period mo pa i-fulfill. Okay, yun yung back order. So, may penalty rin yan. Kasi pwedeng i-demand ng customer sa'yo, since hindi mo mabigay sa akin at the time that I need it, bukas mo pa mabibigay, then bigyan mo akong discount. So may penalty ka ngayon. Diba? So back order is actually a stock out case eh. Pero the difference with stock out lang is that for back order, the customer is willing to wait for the items. Okay? So you will fulfill the delivery of the items in another period. Yun lang ang back order. Sa stock out, kapag nag-order si customer at hindi available yung item sa stock, aalis na siya. Maghanap na siya sa iba. Okay, hindi na siya maghihintay. Therefore, stock out or lost opportunity ka na. Wala ka ng opportunity to earn. Okay? So, yun ang difference ng dalawa. So, later on, clear ba yung difference? Pareho yung stock out ha, pero yung isa lang nga, mafu-fulfill mo pa. Yung back order, mafu-fulfill mo pa yung demand. So, kikita ka pa rin. Mafu-fulfill mo pa rin. Pero yung stock out, hindi na. Lost opportunity na yung profit mo. Clear ba, class?
Clear, sir.
Okay. So, ngayon, papakita ko sa inyo, no? Back order case, may mga parameters din yan, just like the newsboy problem, and halos pareho lang naman. So, ordering cost, di ba? Alam niyo na yan, di ba? Every time you place an order for an item, okay, to supply to your customer, there's an ordering cost, no? May labor cost yan, may supplies cost yan, may telecommunication cost yan. So may fixed ordering cost yan every time you order, regardless of the quantity. Kahit isa lang yan or 10 or 100, the ordering cost remains fixed. And it is charged every time you order. So again, tulad ng sabi ko, sa newsboy problem, isang beses lang tong ordering cost kasi single period ka lang. Pero sa continuous review model, ang ordering cost mo for the planning horizon, marami. Okay? Kasi maraming cycles, marami kang decision periods. So every decision period, meron kang fixed ordering cost. Kaya kailangan mo i-add up lahat ng mga ordering costs sa lahat ng decision periods mo para makuha mo yung total ordering cost mo for the whole planning horizon. Naintindihan? So think of planning horizon as something big. Okay? 1 year usually, okay, yung planning horizon. And then break down your decision of how much to order into, say, weeks or into months. Okay? So kapag break down mo into month per month yung decision mo, then you'll have 12 ordering costs. Kasi 12 times ka mag-order, okay, in 1 year. Is that clear? And then, napag-aralan nyo na yung holding cost, no, sa inyong Pro MGP1. Every time you have stock in your warehouse, kino-hold mo yan until sabihin sa'yo ng logistics, i-deliver na natin ito today sa customer, kay customer A. So, before delivery to a customer, there will always be cost of putting and holding an inventory or an inventory item in stock. Kasi logical naman, 'di ba? Kasi yung warehouse mo, meron kang rental fee dyan every month. Okay? I-distribute mo yan sa lahat ng mga nadodoon sa stock room mo. Meron kang mga insurance cost, meron kang labor cost, maintenance cost, equipment cost sa warehouse. Lahat ng mga cost na yan, dinidistribute mo yan over all the items that are stored in your inventory. And this is, for me, the hardest to actually quantify, no? Itong holding cost per unit. Ang hirap nitong i-determine. And that's why later on, I'll tell you what's the simplistic way of determining the holding cost, the total holding cost. Next, sabi ko sa inyo, every time you have a back order, meaning there's an order now but you'll fulfill it later, there will always be some kind of penalty. And that penalty is referred to as P, and that is your back order cost for every unit that is delayed in terms of delivery to your customer. And then, eto na, yung D mo rito, yung small letter D, in contrast later to X, no? Yung D mo is the demand for the entire planning horizon. So, if you focus here dito sa graph na to, I can continue this, do this perhaps, and then do this, and then do this, and this, and this. Okay? So, if you look at this graph, I can say that this whole period here represents my planning horizon. Okay? This whole period. And then, usually, pag sinabing planning horizon, no, usually 1 year yan, annual. Kaya later on, we will be calculating the expected annual cost, total cost. Usually 1 year yan. And ito, this is a typo, no? This is expected demand. Expected means average. Kasi syempre, ang demand mo, hindi naman yan deterministic. So usually, it's a probabilistic demand, no? Stochastic. So therefore, what you can only get at best is the average demand for the whole year or for the whole planning horizon. So for the whole planning horizon, you have your D, yung average demand mo. Okay, that's for the whole year. So now, if you look at this, in the back order model, you have two decisions to make. One is how much to order. Ano yung order quantity mo? This is the first one. And the second one is your reorder point. Ito yun. Okay? At what point, at what inventory level will you start placing your order? Okay? Siyempre, class, di ba, understanding of reorder point lang. You will not wait until zero na yung inventory mo bago ka magpe-place ng order. Agree, disagree?
Agree po.
Agree? Agree tayo, di ba? You will not wait until ubos na, tsaka ka palang tatawag sa supplier at mag-order. Kasi, alam natin that the supplier would take some time, maybe a day, 2 days, 1 week. There's lead time eh. Lead time for the supplier to fulfill yung order mo sa kanila. Di ba? So, kapag intay mo mag-zero yung inventory mo, tsaka ka mag-order, yung buong lead time na yon, let's say, to put it into context, let's say, the lead time of the supplier is 1 week. Okay? Tapos, nag-zero na yung inventory natin. Tsaka tayo nag-order. So, ibig sabihin, the next time na magkakaroon ka ng unit sa stock mo is after 1 week pa, pag nag-deliver na si supplier. So, for that whole 1 week, tuloy-tuloy yung demand ng customer. Di ba? Customers will come to you and will look for that item hoping to buy that item from you. So that's demand. So tuloy-tuloy yan for that 1 week. So all throughout that lead time period na 1 week, meron ka ngayong unsatisfied demand. So pag back order, iipunin mo lahat yan, yung mga unsatisfied demand na yan, tapos isa-satisfy mo yan as soon as your order comes in. Di ba? Tama ba? Isa-satisfy mo ngayon lahat yan. So therefore, hindi ka maghihintay na mag-zero kasi lalaki yung back order units mo na isa-satisfy mo in the next period. Di ba? So therefore, ang gagawin mo para magkakaroon ka ng buffer, safety lang. So, kunyari, ito yung inventory level natin, no? Itong y-axis. So, nag-start ka dito sa level na to. Look at the diagram on the right side. Start ka, you will see this negative slope here. Negative slope simply means that your inventory is being consumed by demand. Okay? Nauubos siya, slowly nade-deplete siya. Okay? So, dahan-dahan nade-deplete siya every day. Okay? Every day nade-deplete siya until such time na ma-reach na tong level na to, which is this. Take note, the y-axis is inventory level. So, at this level R, at the inventory level R, you will start placing your order already. Hoping that while you're waiting, tignan nyo itong distance na to ha. Okay, itong distance from this point to this point. Okay, ano tong distance na to? Take note, ipoproject ko ito pababa, this is time 1. Okay, this is time 2. Okay? So, at time 1, you will place your order. Tama? At this point, ito na yung reorder level mo eh. Mag-order ka na. Pero, kailan mo ma-receive yung order mo?
So, time 2.
Okay, from the supplier, you will receive your order at time 2. Tama? Therefore, the difference between time 1 and time 2, okay, difference between time 2 and time 1 is actually this part here. Okay? And that is your lead time. That is your supplier lead time. Tama ba, class?
Pero, sir, question.
Yes.
Why does it look like that the line at time 2, it's negative?
Okay, I'll get to that, huh? I'll get to that. Okay. So you will see here that this period here is the lead time. And take note that when you place the order here, okay, when you place your order here at time 1, from time 1 to time 2, tuloy-tuloy, di ba? Tuloy-tuloy yung consumption. Tama? Your demand will continue. It will not stop. So you're hoping that you actually have enough time so that pag dumating yung order, you have enough inventory pa. Pero if you look at this graph, you will see that because of the probability distribution of demand, okay, during lead time. So demand during lead time is now your X. Okay? Yan yung random variable natin for this back order model. Bakit? Kasi yung demand during lead time, yan yung kailangan mong bantayan. Yan yung critical. Okay? The demand for the whole planning horizon is also a random variable. It's also probabilistic. Pero that's in the long run. That's very general. What is important for us is the demand during lead time. Kasi pag hindi mo ma-cover yung demand during lead time, magkakaroon ka ng stock out or magkakaroon ka ng back order. As in this case. In other words, if you do not make the right decision for Q, which is this line here, this line is your Q. Okay? Etong inventory na to, yan yung Q mo eh. If you don't make the right decision for Q and you don't make the right decision for R, meaning you waited too long before you ordered. In other words, mababa na yung inventory level mo, tsaka ka palang nag-order, this is very likely to happen. Your demand during this whole period here, itong LT na to, itong demand mo, will eat up your R. Okay, mauubos siya. So, itong demand na to, uubusin niya yung demand mo, pero hindi pa dumarating yung supply mo kasi hindi pa tapos yung lead time eh. Okay? So, during lead time, tuloy-tuloy yung demand mo, magkakaroon ka ngayon ng back order. So, itong quantity na to, tinatanong sa akin kanina kung bakit negative, di ba? Yung quantity na yan, yan yung back order units mo, which we will denote as BR later on. The number of units na back order. Nakita nyo itong negative? Okay, mamaya na to, ang BR. Nakita nyo yung negative na yan? This is your zero level inventory. Okay, zero level inventory. Nag-order ka late na. Okay, yung reorder point mo. Konti na lang nasa inventory mo. Naubos siya ng demand. Hindi pa rin dumarating yung order mo. Dito pa darating yung order mo eh. So, tuloy-tuloy yung demand mo. Up to this point, nag-negative ka na. Nag-negative na yung inventory mo. So, for the back order model, we will allow inventory to be negative temporarily. Okay? So, you will see that if this is zero inventory here, this one is your negative inventory. Nakikita nyo, class? Yan yung negative inventory nyo. Such that, pagdating dito, okay, ito na yung buong demand during lead time, class. Ha? Follow this pointer. This is the whole demand during lead time. And this total demand during lead time, your X, okay, is obviously greater than your reorder point level. Yung inventory mo at the time that you ordered. Mas malaki siya. Okay? And therefore, since mas malaki siya than this level here, okay, ito kasi yun eh. This is your demand, total demand during lead time. Okay? In terms of inventory units. Ito lang yung inventory mo when you reordered. So, magkakaroon ka ngayon ng negative, deficit. Okay? Magkakaroon kang deficit. Itong deficit na to will be supplied in the next period kapag dumating yung order mo. So ito na. Nag-negative ka kasi nga mayroon kang mga unfulfilled orders, biglang dumating na yung order mo from the supplier and you ordered Q units. So, aakyat agad yung inventory level mo to this point after you add your Q. Nakuha nyo? Nakuha ba, class?
Yes, sir.
Okay? So, you will see that this part, okay, is cycle 1. That's your first decision period. Bakit? Kasi nag-decide ka dito sa cycle 1 kung ano yung Q mo at ano yung R mo. Nag-decide ka na dyan ano yung Q tsaka R mo. That's cycle 1. So now, cycle 2 begins. So this is your, before I go to cycle 2, this point, okay, this point here becomes your maximum inventory possible. At any given time, laging kapag na-receive mo yung Q, yung order mo from your supplier, na-receive mo yung Q, whether it is this one sa second cycle, sa third cycle, sa fourth cycle, etc. Laging yung right after receiving the order quantity, that will represent your maximum inventory for a given period. Okay? So, maximum inventory mo will now therefore be denoted as your R. Umpisahan ko kaya muna dito. Ang minimum inventory mo, ito. Okay? Ito. Throughout the planning horizon, your lows will always be right before you receive your order. So if you look at this point, this is the point before you receive your Q, bago siya umangat. Ito, this is the point before you receive your Q, bago siya umangat. Ganon din dito. So take note that this inventory level here, okay, lagay ko dito. Focus tayo dito, yung triangle na to. Okay. And then mayroon tayong line dito, di ba? Okay. So, take note that this level here is your R. Tama ba? If you look at the graph. Tama ba, class?
Yes, sir.
Yung nakabilog, ito, nakabilog. Itong triangle na to, this one, this, and this, diba? So, ito yon. Take note that this level, itong height na to, is your R. Tapos, itong malaking to, itong from this point to this point, it captures this one, yung consumption, diba? Ito yung kinakapture niya, ito yung demand. So, therefore, during the lead time, ito yung LT mo Okay? During the lead time, ang nababawas sa inventory mo, since ito lang yung meron ka at reorder point, ang nababawas is this one. So, that is now captured by this. Yung average demand mo during lead time. Since again, X is probabilistic, then yung in terms of notation, we will say that this will be the average demand during lead time. Bakit average? Kasi ang dami mong periods na ganon. Diba? Sa second cycle mo, meron ka na naman uling triangle na ganon. Sa third cycle mo, meron ka na naman uling triangle na ganon. Okay? So, ang tanong, ang dami mong demand during lead time. Demand during lead time. Demand during lead time. Diba? So, ang average ng lahat ng ito, average neto, throughout the planning horizon will be your mu. You get what I mean? Basta titingnan nyo, bawat cycle, this is cycle 1, this is cycle 2, this is cycle 3, bawat cycle may makikita kang ganitong triangle. Okay? That describes to you your reorder point, your demand during lead time, okay, and your Q. So, therefore, kung kukunin ko yung demand during lead time ko, mu, okay, average netong lahat ng to, every decision period, yan yung mu mo, demand during lead time. So, ang point ko lang dito is that this one is therefore calculated as this point, this inventory level is calculated as R minus mu. So the lowest point of your inventory, wherever you are in your in your planning horizon is always the difference between your reorder point inventory level and your mean demand during lead time, which is R minus mu. So, tatanong kanina, bakit parang may negative dito? Yes, pwede siyang mag-negative. Pag mas malaki ang demand mo during lead time, yung average demand mo during lead time, than your reorder point quantity level, magne-negative tong R minus mu. And a negative quantity, okay, this one, R minus mu can be positive, it can be negative. In this case, okay, in this case, this is negative. R minus mu is negative. In this case, R minus mu is positive. Okay, in this case, R minus mu is negative. So R minus mu can be positive or can be negative. If it is positive, it means that pagdating ng stock, pagdating ng order mo, meron ka pang inventory na titira. Walang back order na mangyayari. Pero kapag negative yung R minus mu, it means that by the time your order comes in, yung Q, meron ka ng mga units na hindi na supply, na fulfill sa customer mo. And therefore, you will have to fulfill that in the next period using your Q. Is that clear? So I can now say that the minimum inventory in any decision cycle, okay, is R minus mu. The general equation that will describe, expression that will describe the minimum inventory kahit saan ka magpunta, kahit saang cycle ka tumingin. Okay, so this is cycle 2, this is cycle 3, and so on, no? This is cycle 4, and so on for the whole planning horizon. So at any cycle, your minimum, the lowest inventory point possible is that wherein your demand, your inventory is depleted by the demand during lead time, which is R minus mu. And then your highest point, if you look at it, at any cycle, will always be the point after replenishment, after your order comes in. Kaya biglang nagja-jump, no? Biglang nagja-jump kasi may queue na dumating eh. So from the lowest point, you get to the highest point because you're adding queue. So therefore, your highest inventory level possible, Imax, is equal to R minus mu plus Q. R minus mu, which is your lowest point, and then when replenishment comes, you add Q. That will correspond to your highest level. Is that clear, class? So for back order, we allow negative value for R minus mu because we will cover for it and we will fulfill it in the following period. Okay? So wala kang stock out in essence. Lahat yan converted into sales. Kahit na nag-negative yung inventory mo, mako-convert yan into sales in the following period. So, uunahan ko na kayo, ang difference lang neto tsaka stock out is, ang stock out, hindi pwedeng mag-negative ang R minus mu. Pag nag-negative yan, ibig sabihin, lost na yung sales mo, wala ka ng revenue. Okay? So, yun lang yung difference. Okay, klaro ba tayo? So, na-define na natin through this diagram kung ano yung X. Yung X, yan lang yung demand during lead time. Iba siya sa D. Yung D is the demand, average demand yan for the whole planning horizon. Of course, D will also be a function of your excess. Probabilistic din yan. Siyempre, kung ano yung demand mo during lead time, ano yung probability distribution yan, yan din yung magiging probability distribution ng D mo. Okay? But D, for purposes of computation, is not a random variable. It is the average value of the demand. Okay? Yung X natin yung random variable. Tapos yung mu is the mean, tulad nga sabi ko, yan yung mean ng mean ng lahat ng demand during lead times mo. So, mean ng lahat ng ito. Ayan, lahat ng yan. Average niyan, that would be your mean. Okay? So, if that is clear, then we can now proceed to deriving the expected annual cost. EAC simply means the cost for the planning horizon. Kaya, the assumption is that the planning horizon is 1 year. Okay, kaya expected annual cost. And you will see that the expected annual cost is a function of two decision variables, Q and R. Meaning, iyan yung gusto natin i-solve, yung Q at yung R. Okay, so, alam nyo na to. Everything that follows is similar to your Pro-MGT1. OC plus HC plus BC. Okay, ordering cost plus holding cost plus back order cost. Yung total EAC natin. Okay, that is your basic equation. So, let's just dissect these three. Isa-isahin natin yan. Ordering cost will be your, okay, may notation tayo dito, A. That's your fixed ordering cost. Sabi ko nga, ang fixed ordering cost mo is per cycle. Isang cycle, may isang ordering cost ka dito. May A, may A, may A. So, depending kung ilang cycles yung buong taon mo or buong planning horizon mo, then you would have the same number of ordering costs incurred. So, therefore, to get the total ordering cost, you now have to multiply A by D over Q. Yung D over Q represents the number of cycles in the production in the planning horizon. I think na-discuss nyo na to sa Pro-MGT1, di ba? So, for example lang, simple example, if your average demand for 1 year is 100, tapos yung Q mo, let's say your D is 100, your Q, each time you order, no? Each time nag-order ka, nag-replenish ka, laging 10 yung in-order mo. Ibig sabihin, for the whole planning horizon, dapat mag-order ka 10 times to satisfy the total demand for the whole year. Tama? If the total demand is 100 and each time you're ordering, each decision cycle, you're ordering 10 units from your supplier, then it means that you have to order D over Q or 100 over 10 times. So, kailangan mo mag-order ng 10 times, datig to 10, para ma-cover mo yung buong demand ng planning horizon na 100. And hence, dividing D by Q will actually give you the number of times that you need to make that decision to order. Okay? And the number of times you make a decision to order would correspond to the number of orders that you will make in the planning horizon. That's why you multiply A by D over Q to get the total ordering cost for the whole planning horizon. Okay? You have that already before. So I won't ask you na if you understand kasi dapat meron yan. Holding cost. Okay? Holding cost, yung to simplify it, mahirap kasi talaga i-obtain itong H. Okay? So, in most classroom problems, ina-assume na lang no, na may H ka. And usually sa industry practice, H is just assumed as a percentage of something doon sa inventory mo. Usually, it is money tied up. Usually, it's a percentage. So, if H is given, then you just have to multiply the holding cost per unit by the average inventory. No? Okay. Again, to simplify it, kasi nga ang hirap i-trace ng in and out ng inventory sa warehouse. So let's just consider this whole planning horizon, itong buong to, okay, this whole planning horizon, consider it, and just consider the average inventory, meaning ano ba yung maximum at yung minimum inventory mo, okay, and then just get the center, yung average na lang. So, in other words, you're now saying that the average inventory is the amount of inventory that you're carrying or that you're stocking in your warehouse at any given point in time during that whole planning horizon. So for 1 year, kahit kailan ka dumalaw doon sa warehouse, more or less, makikita mo, there would be this average inventory that is stuck there. Okay, so pumunta ka ngayon sa warehouse, makikita mo there are 100 units in there. Bukas pumunta ka, there is 120. The next day pumunta ka, there is 75. The next day pumunta ka, there's 85. So in other words, kung kunin mo yung average na laman ng warehouse na yon for the whole year, pagka pumupunta ka every day, that's your average inventory. And the formula is I max plus I min over 2. And that's why meron akong sinabi ko sa inyo na yung I min mo for the planning horizon is denoted by R minus mu at yung I max mo is denoted by R minus mu plus Q para magamit natin dito. Okay? Q plus R minus mu is your I max. Hanggang dito. R minus mu is your I min. I max plus I min divided by 2 will be your average inventory. So, simplifying this, Q over 2 plus R minus mu is your average inventory. Okay, that's your average inventory. You put it here, you multiply that by H, you will get the total holding cost. H. Next, the last component of your expected annual cost is your back order cost. So again, sabi nga natin, nagkakaroon lang tayo ng back order kapag, pag nangyari ito. Okay? Pag nangyari ito. Stand natin ito. Pag nangyari ito. Ibig sabihin, pag mas malaki yung demand ko during lead time, which is my X, kaysa sa R, X is greater than R. Again, R is your reorder point level, inventory level na nag-reorder ka. Pero pag yung demand during lead time mo mas malaki sa R, maubusan ka. Di ba? So, back order will only happen if X is greater than R. Ito yon. And the amount of units na kailangan mong i-fulfill in the next period will obviously be the excess between X and R. Yan yung number of units back ordered mo na dapat mo i-fulfill. Okay? Now, on the contrary, if X is less than R, back order will be 0. Kasi pag mas maliit yung demand mo during lead time than your order point, ibig sabihin, by the time dumating yung order mo, yung Q, meron ka pang stock. So 0 yung back order mo. Okay? So ito yung sinasabi nito. So we now denote BR as the number of B is back order, pero back order mo kasi is very dependent or is a function of your R. Yung R, which is your reorder point level. Okay? So that's why it's B, back order as a function of R. So that's the number of back ordered units. It's 0 if your X is less than or equal to R. Wala kang back order basta yung demand mo mas maliit than your reorder point. Okay? Pero magkakaroon ka ng back order na X minus R if your demand is greater than R. Okay? So therefore, since X is a random variable, may Fx yan. Kaya, it's not as simple as BR is equal to X minus R because X is not a constant. X is not a parameter. It's a random variable. Kaya BR, the equation for BR is therefore, pagka mas maliit yung X sa R, okay, that's negative infinity to R. X is from the lowest limit, lowest possible value of X up to the reorder point. 0 yung back order mo. Pero, kapag mas malaki yung X sa R, ibig sabihin, X is from R to the upper limit, then your back order is X minus R, then you have to multiply that by Fx dx. Okay? 0 to. Therefore, your final BR equation would be this one. So, ito yung kailangan nyong tandaan. Basta pag tinanong ko, what is the number of units back ordered? It is given by this integral function. Integral from R to infinity or R to the upper limit of X minus R, Fx dx. Yan yung back order. So number of units to, BR, number of units back ordered. So to get the total back order cost, you now multiply by P times BR. P times BR will give you this. Every cycle, meron kang potential or probable number of back-ordered units every cycle. So yan yung BR. Pag may BR ka, may penalty. So mumultiply mo ngayon yung P times BR para makuha yung total penalty cost for those back-ordered units in that decision cycle. Okay? Kaso every decision cycle, meron kang potential or probability na magkaroon ka ng back-ordered units. Kaya, you now have to multiply P times BR by the number of cycles, which is D over Q, para makuha natin yung total back-order cost. Naintindihan? So, you have the three components now. Yung holding cost kasi, you don't need to multiply by D over Q kasi you're considering the average inventory already for the whole planning horizon. Kaya, minumultiply mo na lang ng H yun, yung holding cost per unit. Okay? So, your assumption here is this is for the whole planning horizon already. Average na yan at any point in time. For BR and for A, you are computing the cost kasi per cycle, per decision cycle. Kaya, kailangan nyo i-multiply by the number of cycles in the planning horizon, which is D over Q. Okay? So, you now have three functions, okay? Three formulas for OC, HC, and BC. All you have to do now is to put them together into the EAC formula. Okay? Lapit na. So, this is important. Kapag later kasi, 3 steps yan. Pag kinompute mo na yung Q, kukumputin mo yung R, and then kukumputin mo yung BR, and then yung EAC. Okay? So, yan yung mga kailangan nyo i-compute later. Kaya importante itong formula na to at itong formula na to. Okay? So, tanggalin ko na yung mga iba para hindi kayo malito. Yan. Okay? So, these two, very important. So, I put an asterisk. Yan. So, now, our objective, tulad ng ginawa natin last meeting, our objective is to minimize expected annual cost. Minimize EAC. That's our objective. So again, if you want to minimize and you have a function, you have an equation, all you have to do is get the derivative. Derivative of the function and equate it to 0. So get derivative of EAC with respect to Q equate to 0. The problem here now is EAC is a function of Q and R, two variables. Kaya, when you get the derivative, hindi na siya, since you have two variables, partial derivative na dapat. So when you get the partial derivative of EAC with respect to Q, then your R is expected to be a constant. And when you get the partial derivative of EAC with respect to R, your Q is now assumed to be a constant. Okay? Kaya dalawang equation ang kukunin natin. So for first equation, with respect to Q muna. Class, may mali dito, no? So kailangan nyo i-correct ito sa PowerPoint nyo. Sana ba yung sa PowerPoint? Nandito na tayo. Ito. Itong slide na to on the left side. This one, when you get the derivative with respect to Q, nasa ilalim yung Q eh. Negative 1 yung exponent. Dapat magiging negative 2 to. So, therefore, this should be squared. Negative AD over Q squared yan. Okay? So, paki-correct na lang. So, this one should be squared. Okay? So, hindi ko na kayo tuturuan mag-derivative. Alam nyo na yan, no? Pag nasa denominator yung variable mo, magiging Q raised to the exponent minus 1. So, magiging negative 2 yung negative 1. Okay, so this is negative AD over Q squared. Ito naman, R is assumed to be a constant, mu is a constant. So, therefore, this one is H over 2 times 1 lang. Okay? H over 2 times 1 yung derivative. So, negative AD over Q squared, H over 2 times 1. Ito. And then this one, negative PD over Q squared times BR. Okay? With respect to Q, ha, constant yung PD tsaka BR. So therefore, if they are constant, negative PD BR over Q squared. So that's the derivative. Right? Raise your hand if you have a question, ha? Okay, then, so since nakuha na natin yung partial derivative na to with respect to Q, okay, we now equate it to 0. Okay, equate this to 0. Q lang naman yung unknown natin, and R, we solve for Q in terms of R. Okay, so therefore, doing your math, gawin yung 2Q squared lahat yung denominator, and then do the same for the numerator, solve for Q, you will get this. Okay, this is your equation 1. And again, this is important. So I will put a box here, an asterisk, and then this. Okay, so this is equation 1, which we obtained by getting the partial derivative of EAC with respect to Q and equating to 0 to get the minimum. So this is the Q that will give you the minimum expected annual cost. Next, we have another variable. So we have to get the partial derivative of EAC with respect to R. Nandito na tayo. Okay, we are here. Okay, with respect to R and equate it to 0 also. So now with respect to R, you will see that this one has no R. Itong AD over Q, wala namang R to eh. So all of these are assumed to be constant with respect to R. So therefore, the first partial derivative, the first term will be 0. Okay, 0 yan. And then for the second term, ang may R lang naman is this one. So H times R. The rest are constants, assumed to be constant. So 0 na yung derivative. So HR, ang derivative ng HR with respect to R is H for the second term. And then for the last term, this one is a constant, assumed to be a constant with respect to R. So this one times the derivative of this, okay, will be the derivative of this third term. Kaya, you will see here that the third term would be plus PD over Q times the derivative of BR, which is B prime R. Okay, so ito na muna, B prime R. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan natin kunin yung derivative ng BR. Pero class, pay attention. You will see that BR is an integral function, tama? From this equation. Yung BR natin is an integral function. So, to get the derivative, yung prime, na tong function na to, derivative of an integral function, ano uli yung i-apply natin? Para makuha yung derivative, yung B prime R, given that BR is an integral function, anong gagamitin natin to get the derivative of an integral?
The Leibniz rule, sir.
Okay, so
Leibniz.
for us to be able to expand this, itong B prime R na to, meaning getting the derivative of an integral function, we need to use Leibniz rule. So dito, kailangan kong gamitan to ng Leibniz rule. Like what we did last meeting. So therefore, makikita nyo sa left side ng screen nyo, ina-apply ngayon yung Leibniz rule. Okay? So when you apply Leibniz rule to BR to get the derivative, B prime R will now be step by step. No? Yung formula ng Leibniz rule, binigay ko na sa inyo yung last meeting, nawala dito eh. Okay, nawala itong page na to. Anyway, I prepared that already. But getting the derivative, using Leibniz rule, ito na yung step by step. Remember, Leibniz rule has 3 parts, di ba? This is the first part where you get the derivative. Okay, Luis, thank you. This is the first step where you get the derivative of the upper limit. Upper limit is a constant, so 0. Then minus the derivative of the lower limit. Okay, lower limit naman, which is 1 times fx ax, no? Fx and the lower limit. So isa-substitute mo naman ngayon yung r, yung lower limit sa lahat ng x. Kaya magiging r minus r times fr. Okay, and then the last one will be the integral from r to infinity, partial derivative of fxy with respect to r. So ito naman yung derivative. So simplifying this, okay, ito na ngayon yung b prime r. Okay, so b prime r is therefore equal to negative of integral of r to infinity fx dx. So we can put this here. B prime r, applying Leibniz rule, b prime r is therefore equal to negative from r to infinity fx dx. Okay? So after applying Leibniz rule, you'll get b prime r here. So now, I can put this into my EAC equation in the next slide. So makikita natin, pag kinuha ko yung partial of EAC with respect to r, that will now be equal to h plus, this is magiging negative, no? Kasi yung BR prime is negative eh. So magiging minus PD over Q times the integral of r to infinity f of x dx. Ito yung ngayon yung i-equate ko sa 0. So when I equate this to 0, the objective is to isolate r. So when I isolate r, I will transfer h to the other side, or the negative PD over Q to the other side. So magiging HQ, pag tinira ko tong r to infinity fx dx sa kabilang side, okay, magiging HQ, positive na lahat, no? HQ cross multiply divided by PD. Okay? So this becomes my equation 2. Ito yung equation 1 ko. Ito yung equation 1 ko. Ito yung equation 2 ko. Okay? Lahat ng mga box, naka-box at naka-asterisk, importante lahat yan. Ito, tsaka yan. Yung apat na yan, importante lahat yan. Pero yung equation number 1 and 2 ang gagamitin ninyo sa pag-solve ng Q and R. Okay? So ano yung proseso? First, assume BR, babaguhin ko lang ng konti ha, BR1 to be equal to 0. Kasi, bakit ko i-assume BR1 equal to 0? Kasi meron kang ganito. Sa equation 1 mo, meron kang BR. Ito. Apart from BR, lahat ito, yung D, A, P, H are parameters. Given sa problem yan. So kapag in-assume ko na any value to, for convenience, assume kong 0, then I will be able to get the iterative process going. So masosolve ko yung Q kasi alam ko na lahat ng values eh. Kaya yung step 1 sa iterative process is to just set a value for BR para masolve yung Q. Okay? So step 1, nakuha niyo ba class yung mga naiwan pa dito? Ang apat na naiwan dito. Pag siniro ko to, masosolve ko na kasi 2dA over H na lang. Diba? Masosolve the square root. Masosolve ko na yung Q. So therefore, assume BR1 equals 0, solve for Q. Pag alam ko na yung Q sa number 2, masolve ko na yung Q, di ba? Paano ko masosolve yung Q? How will I solve Q? I will now use equation 2. Okay? Alam ko yung BR is 0. So therefore, this is actually the probability that X is greater than R. Okay? So if I know, from here, if I set this to be 0, I can solve for Q. Pag alam ko na yung Q, alam ko na to, alam ko na yan, alam ko na to, alam ko na to. Okay? So therefore, masosolve ko na yung Q, masosolve ko yung Q, masosolve ko na yung R. Solve for R from equation 2 naman. Again, Equation 2, ito yung parang critical ratio ng newsboy problem, class. Ito. This is the critical ratio in the newsboy problem. So pag alam mo na yung critical ratio, alam mo na yung probability. The left side is a probability, probability x greater than r. Pag alam mo yung probability to the critical ratio, masasolve mo na yung r dito sa equation na to, depending on the probability distribution. Okay? So, yun yung kailangan nyo i-review sa ENG.1 ninyo. How do you solve for the value of the random variable given the probability? Okay? So, depende yan. Pwedeng table ang gamitin. Depende sa distribution. Okay, so masasolve nyo yung R, bottom line. Pag na-solve mo na yung R, edi mayroon ka na magagamit dito. Masasolve ko na yung BR. Take note that this BR needs the value of R here. Kailangan mo yung R. So, kapag alam mo na yung R from step 3, mapaplug in nyo na yung R dito sa BR equation, okay, to solve for BR. Gets? Kaya naka-asterisk yan, kailangan nyo kasi. So, step 4 is therefore to solve for BR using BR equation above. Okay? So once na-solve mo yung BR class using this equation, na-solve mo na yung BR using this equation, you can now plug it in to equation number 1 again. Plug in the BR here, you can now solve for Q ulit. So that begins your second iteration. So solve this time itong BR na to na sinolve natin using BR equation is, I will now call this BR2. And then the next step will be to solve for, this is Q1, this is R1. Next step will be to solve for Q2. Okay, second cycle naman, second iteration from equation 1. Ulit-ulit na lang. And then the next step is to solve for R, ulit, R2 from equation 2. And once you have R2 from equation 2, balik ka na naman uli sa BR. Solve for BR na naman ulit. Okay, and so on. So, lalagay ko na ganyan. So, solve for R2 and then solve for BR ulit. BR3 naman. From BR equation and so on. Gets? So, ang tanong, when will you stop? So, ito ngayon yung stopping criteria mo. Itong nasa left side. You continue the iterative process until the values of Q and R. Take note that you are able to solve for Q and R here. Diba? Q, first iteration, first iteration here, Q and R. Second iteration, you have here. So, pag yung value ng Q and R mo for this iteration and the previous is magkalapit na, and normally I would give the error, no? The error from one iteration to the next, the allowable error. So kapag ka nasa-satisfy na yung allowable error na yon, or pag magkapareho na yung Q and R values mo now and in the previous, then it has converged and you can stop. And that becomes your Q star and your R star. Okay? So once you get, after you get your Q star and R star, you now, okay, you now substitute Q star and I star to get your EAC. So, paano mo makukuha yung EAC? Punta kayo doon sa equation ng EAC. Substitute nyo yung Q at saka yung R. Yung Q star at saka yung R star doon sa equation para makuha nyo yung total EAC. So, in the end, you would have 3 answers. Q, R, and the EAC. Discuss this slide once we encounter it na lang sa problem kasi this has something to do with normal distribution. If your demand during time is normal, then ito yung mga formulas na gagamitin natin for BR. So in other words, the BR formula will change. okay, to suit the normal distribution. So I want to, over the weekend, mayroon na kasing ano, no, A and B, discrete and continuous example, simple continuous lang. I want you to solve example number 6 in your notebooks, not to be submitted anymore, but solve it on your own. Kasi if you don't, then next Monday, for sure, hindi nyo ako masasagot. Hindi kayo makakasunod dun sa lesson sa Monday pag hindi nyo to sagutan. Para malaman nyo kung ano yung mga na-gets after listening to the recorded lecture, you have to try to solve this problem so that you can ask it on Monday before I proceed with the stamp out case.